Can we start over?
I kind of wanted to give a little "What's Up, Lash Fam" too. I don't know.
Oh, we could do that together.
What's up, Lash Fam? I always wanted to do "What's Up, Lash Fam."
Okay, all right, ready? We're gonna say it together.
Yeah,
ready?
that's right.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
What's up, Lash Fam?
Welcome back, you guys, to another episode of Truly Me. Today, I have a special guest. This is Mike G, and we have known each other for 7 years, about 7 years, long time. We go back. And the reason why I wanted to bring him on today to talk to you guys because he has a really crazy story, and I think it's super inspirational. It should be heard. And I think some of you guys might be able to relate to it, or it might just move you a little bit. So we're gonna jump into his story and just what happened to him, and now how is he dealing with what happened to him. So it's really cool. Okay, so take us back. So where did it start?
Well, it's a long story.
All right.
It all started. Well, I mean, my lifestyle is kind of what started it. But
okay,
the
I feel like
story,
I should say that, okay, let me just tell them what happened, and then we'll explain what happened. You feel me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was actually sitting on the couch when it started, the actual incident.
So he died, essentially. No, literally?
Yeah, literally.
Literally died. But I want him to explain to you guys how he died and what happened in his life to significantly make this a reality for him, and how he's dealt with it and then came out the other side of it, because I think it's super crazy. Not a lot of people die and come back to life. So obviously this doesn't have anything to do with lashes, but this is something that I think is inspirational. So okay, take us back.
Yeah, so there's a lot to it. The actual incident, the night that it happened, I was sitting on the couch, and it was Thursday. So it was 8 o'clock on a Thursday, and I
just like a normal day.
Well, kind of. I hadn't been feeling well for about 2 months, but it was more like, I thought I had the flu. I did go to the doctor. They prescribed me antibiotics, and it was okay, I had the flu, and then it kind of came back again. And so I had this congestion.
So they never really checked you.
They didn't. They kind of just figured I had the flu, and then I flew back home, the other kind of flu. And when I came back, I was sick again, and so they were like, well, maybe it was the plane. Maybe we're never really better. And literally 5 days before the whole thing happened, when I originally got real sick, I had gone to my primary care provider, who's right up the street, my former primary care provider.
Fired.
Fired for sure. And just said, hey, look, I'm not feeling well. It's still going on. There's crackling in my lungs, and I just don't feel right. I'm tired. And he's like, it'll run its course. And I really can't prescribe you anything. Just stay healthy. So the next night I went down to San Diego and went to a concert and went out, and I was, had some beers. Yeah, I wasn't crazy, pushed through it, but I didn't feel that bad. But I don't really think I took his advice, right? But then 3 days later, I'm sitting in, and I was kind of being, really being mindful of it. And then I didn't feel well at all. And
so was it a different I didn't feel well?
It was. And WebMD, you can... of all
have
people.
you ever Googled your symptoms? Do you know you're probably dead already?
Yeah, none of us are here. But especially right now, this is an awkward time to have any kind of symptoms whatsoever.
For sure.
You don't even want to get allergies or whatever. So the symptoms, really what's crazy is the symptoms were very similar to what he diagnosed you.
With flu?
Yeah, like bronchitis.
Okay.
Or pneumonia. So there was congestion in my lungs. More than just the flu. It was weird. And so he said, but it's probably going to run its course. But then I got the hiccups. I don't know if I ever told you this. I got the hiccups for 5 straight hours. And if you get the hiccups, think about the last time you had the hiccups and you've had them for 10 minutes. You're already going insane. After an hour.
So that was a red flag.
It was crazy. I was really good. It was maddening. And they weren't the easy hiccups. They were so I started going back to WebMD. I'm I am not feeling well at all. I'm home by myself. And when the hiccups kind of when you cross-reference hiccups with what I had, it's that could be your heart. And so I immediately just called the urgent care, and the San Clemente urgent care was shut down. I didn't even know that. I never went to the doctors. I was one of those people. I had a friend who was a doctor, and that friend is who I would just consult.
So going back to your life, did you regularly get sick, or were you?
Yeah, a movie where The Sixth Sense or something like that, where at the very end there's a signal, and all of a sudden you go, whoa, all this, I get what's going on, and I didn't pick up the signs all the way through, but now I get it. If I look back on the 2.5 years prior to this, I
see
see some
signs.
signs for sure because you know, I was drinking a lot, I was partying a lot.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, take us back to like what you were doing during that time.
Well, yeah, all right, I will. But that incident, the long story short, the shorter version of it is that night when I did feel like I had something seriously wrong, I took a lift to the hospital. But leading up to that, just
okay, but we'll get into like how you died.
Yeah.
But let's talk about like
all right. Well, I was a rock star, straight up.
the
No.
king of San Clemente.
But I really was. I know a lot of people. I bartended for a really long time. I was in the scene, whatever you want to call it, or but I was always down to go out. I worked in the restaurant industry, and anyone who's
I don't
been in
think
the
I
service
ever
industry,
knew you not to be like the life of the party.
Yeah, and
Like
that's
you were
how it
like
went
in
down.
it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, and because of that, you know, so I was.
But and that plays a huge role in your story.
100%.
You knowing so many people.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you partied a lot. You drank a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone's going to say, oh, no, I party too a lot too, you know, but I had a pretty long career. Like, I went at it pretty solid, and I
You're
was
a
probably
Hall
the
of Famer.
first person on anyone's list who's like, I want to go party. I
For
want to
sure.
go out, or I want to go do this. So
For sure.
they would maybe party with me for a day or two and then go do something. But then the next person would be like, you would, and I'd be like, let's go, you know, so.
No, it was like
I
an
never
all,
really
it was like
got
an
a break.
everyday
Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
Prior to me getting pregnant with London, I would party with him, and I was young, and I was like in the bars with you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it wasn't like a.
She was 21. No.
It wasn't like you know, Friday, Saturday, let's rage. It was like a 7-day a week.
Yeah, the days
thing.
weren't really, yeah.
I mean, you were a bartender, so that you just kind of okay. So you partied a lot.
I partied a lot.
And obviously that played a role in what happened to you.
Yeah, it definitely did.
Okay,
It-
so you go to the hospital. What happened?
I was also gaining weight. So,
and that's
like-
from the drinking.
yeah, and also no activity. So, I don't know if you've ever been caught in a cycle of partying, but like when you do it forever, like, but you know what I mean? Like a
Yeah.
lot of people have. And you
Well, you definitely can't like. I feel like really party and then like really work out. Like that's just like
those
not a
people are
balanced life.
psychopaths. They exist, and I've worked with a few of them. And
They're
I'm like, how?
psychopaths?
Yeah, I don't know how the people that can actually work out
But
and
if
still.
you're like a real like hardcore partier,
Yeah, you can't.
there's just like
But either way, I got pretty big. Like it's I've seen a photo recently that popped up. Thanks Facebook. Appreciate
Shout out
it.
Facebook.
Yeah, and so
back bad
yeah, the
memories.
plunger app is what they call it. It brings up old shit. But like this picture, I was like, whoa. And my phone, if you go to people on your phone, and like it knows how to go through your photos and find people. I'm in my phone as like 3 different people.
damn. It didn't
That's
recognize
crazy.
you?
No, it has me as like the old beat up, party too hard me, and like
It's like
now
the
me.
afterlife you.
Yep, and my phone somehow knows. Yeah,
That's wild.
yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's fucking
But so the
crazy.
weight in there, you know, not really exercising a lot. You know, your body, it's like that's your fuel. You know
Yeah.
you keep putting poison in, and there's a drink that kind of has to be put into this, and
Yep.
it's called the Rooster, and it's
Don't drink
vodka
'em.
and Red Bull. Yeah, don't recommend them. Although I've probably had about 15,000 of them. I think that's the limit, right? Because that's when I died, right?
Yeah.
But you know, it's vodka and Red Bull, splash of cran, and
But it's not just vodka Red Bull. It's literally vodka, a whole fucking can of Red Bull.
well, yeah, you get two drinks out of one Red Bull. Yeah,
So it's a lot of Red Bull.
it's a lot of Red Bull.
And you're drinking them consistently throughout the night.
Yeah,
Right? And, you're
yeah.
chugging it.
Yeah, because you're working and you're in the scene, and then when I'm constantly, and then that's what I drank. That's all I drank.
So let me ask you, because you drank so many Red Bulls, like the Roosters, were you up all night because of that?
A lot of that. There was other reasons I was up all night, you know, but definitely the Roosters had a lot to do with it. And
And
that's
I don't
just-
know if people know, but obviously, I mean, I feel like people know, but what do energy drinks do to you? It's like
It's
crack.
that was
like
of all the
fucking meth or
things that they I was honest with them what I had put in my body, and all of the things like, you know, drinking, extracurricular activities, if you know what I mean, and then Red Bull, and Red Bull is the thing they flagged.
Really?
Yeah, out of all that caused so my heart wasn't working for 2.5 years, very well. And eventually, when I went down that night, what it was it finally gave in. So the lungs were filling up because the heart wasn't pumping properly. It was only pumping.
So was it hard for you to breathe?
I didn't.
Did you ever feel like winded? Or
I didn't feel super winded. I definitely was tired a lot, but I was constantly drinking vodka Rebels. So
Yeah.
I don't know how much I would have been tired.
You were doing like an upper and a downer.
Yeah, it's really bad. And sugar. So alcohol, sugar, and Red Bull,
Death wish?
it's poison in a glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy though, because when you party, you don't think of that. You don't think of the long-term effects of
Yeah.
what you're doing to yourself.
It's true.
At all.
And a lot of people I know that I partied with, I think if I've never had this conversation, which this is why this is interesting, is a lot of people really, after what happened to me, I haven't been able to kind of give this story to a lot of people
Yeah.
that know me. They know what happened and they rooted for me,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know like the diagnosis and things like that. And I think that people would be shocked to realize how much Red Bull was a part of all that. And
So, okay.
Yeah.
I've heard this story, obviously, but tell about when you went to the hospital and your nephew, right?
yeah, my nephew.
Okay, because that's the crazy part.
Brad. Yeah, so I took a lift.
Okay, so you're
Which
solo.
that was the first thing. There's a lot of miracles strung together that even allowed me to be sitting here right now. And I think the first one was my Lyft driver. People
Okay.
keep saying Uber. I just don't want to give props to Uber when it was Lyft. And I was also told this is something I should relay is take an ambulance because,
not a lift.
yeah, don't take a Lyft when you're
So
dying.
if you think that you're dying, call
Yeah,
911.
I didn't know I was dying, but so I took a Lyft. The Lyft driver said to me, and this is one of the last few things I actually remember.
Okay.
But I remember the Lyft driver saying to me, it was like 8:30, right? So he's like heading out, and I
But
was
you
like,
thought you were going to party.
yeah. He's like, yeah,
Where you going?
and not for the night kind of thing. And I was like, no, you didn't look at the destination, and it was a minivan, I remember. And he's like, no, and he looks, and he's like, oh, and I was like, yeah, and I'm not visiting anyone, like I'm not feeling good. And he's like,
You're like,
okay, and he
fucking
freaking
flew.
booked it. Like he got on the freeway, was doing 90. And he's like, "You all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty good." And I remember just getting on my phone and I was kind of texting some of the boys, like,
So did you feel like weird?
not
You're
that
gonna-
I know of right now. I don't. I
Okay.
just remember feeling like something's wrong with this, and I'm getting short of breath, and the hiccups keep coming, and something's up. So I just remember, and it just started all connected at one moment. Like this is my heart because of all the stuff I was reading over the last week, and so that's how I felt. But I was telling him, I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling well, and he knew, and he flew. And one of the very last memories I had is he kind of screeched into the emergency, like underneath, how they have that in
Yeah.
urgent care. And he got yelled at by this big security guard, and the security guard's like, "Slow down, I don't know," like kind of, and he's like basically told him, "Fuck you, this guy's not doing well," and just grabbed me and helped me get in. And then I don't remember much after that.
So, but you do remember Brad shows up.
Yeah, I do. So, and there's text. That's what I was going through my phone before this. I went back to 2 years because it's almost 2 years ago. I went through some texts, and they're all still there. And the texts are wild. The last few texts I sent were very casual to like my group of friends and my brother, and my nephew was on that string. So it's like the family and then our close guy friends,
Yeah.
like 10 of us. And I was like, "Hey boys, so it's not going well. I'm in the hospital." But it wasn't panicky at all. It was just
like
like
calm.
Yeah, it was really calm. It's like, they're almost
But I think
comical
that if
to read.
people know you, you're a very calm person. And honestly, I think that's why you made it.
I think there's a few reasons why I made it.
I think that your energy and like you're always so
Yeah.
positive.
I think you're right.
I think that played a huge role in your
100%.
recovery.
Well, that's a perfect segue into this part that you're asking me to tell, because I couldn't keep this oxygen mask on, and everything was failing slowly. So my organs were all failing.
Okay.
And they were like, if you don't keep that on, and by this time my nephew had shown up. He was in San Diego. He was the first one there, and he was the only one allowed in the room. There was a lot of people in the lobby, but he was the only allowed in
Yeah.
there with me. And they were like, well, the only other thing we can do if you can't keep this on, I was like, I'm going to throw up in this thing. And they're like, you cannot do that.
So they were going to
And so I was like, I can't keep it on or I'm going to throw up. So, and they were like, we can put you in a coma, and we can't do it without your permission, and you're not going to wake up.
So do most people who go in comas not wake up?
The-
Or was it just your situation?
My situation was dire.
So basically, they had to put you in a coma to make sure either they were all going to fail.
They are going to fail. So they induce a coma. there's a crazy, like a lot of analogies that go with an induced coma, like that can happen even like with what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
For real. Like, so they induce a coma so that your body can shut down completely.
And heal.
And then it has a chance anyway to recover.
Right.
Which is like we did too right now with COVID.
Yeah.
We are like putting on the brakes and getting the resources built up and allowing like the nation, healthcare, it's crushing the economy, but all the other resources are kind of like get ready, and then now maybe resuscitate us, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what they do with when they induce a coma. And when I was in, but they were like, it's done.
So basically, they thought if we induce you, you're dying.
Yeah.
Or you have a small percentage of coming out of it.
They didn't say they said you have to know before, because my nephew's right there. They have to
So
be
it was
very
like
clear. That
it was like
you're
now
not
or
coming out.
never. Like you have to make a choice right now.
Or you can try and keep this thing on, but we won't be able to do as much for you. And I actually just looked right at my nephew. Well, I looked at them and I said, no, I looked at him and I said, I'm going to let him do it. Okay. And he's like, no. And he was mad. He was really angry at me. He didn't tell me this till later.
Really?
Like when he finally thought I had recovered, like probably 4 months after I finally recovered, he kind of like let me have it. Like he had been holding it in. He was so insanely stoic and so strong through this. Like, but that's how he is. And that's kind of how our
Yeah.
family is.
Yeah.
And he hung in there. And then when I finally was all right, he was like, I was so mad at you. I thought you were giving up. And I wasn't giving up. I never once did I think it was going to be my last breath. I just never did.
So you were never fearful? Mm-mm. Really?
Not at all. Even in my texts, I posted them. I could find them. They're really wild. It's just like, and I told my brother was in there. I was like, all right, boys. I was like, Buddha, you're going to be the one who's going to have to make some tough decisions, like the pull the plug or leave me alive stuff, like very casually like that. And I told Brad, I said, no matter what happens, do all of the keep me alive stuff. Whatever it is, don't let him kill me because I'm not
like
ready
your
to
one
go.
wish.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not ready to go. And he goes, all right. And then they put me in and everything started to fail. And people started showing up to the hospital like crazy.
And let me tell you, like when people showed up, it wasn't just like 10 people. It was like the whole entire town.
It was a
Like
lot
you
of
had
people.
a whole ass like army behind you
Yeah.
all the time, right?
Yep.
Like all the time.
They had food. No one was leaving. They had food from all the restaurants just coming. I mean, I hear all this. I wasn't around for it, but I've heard a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of it. It was crazy. It's super powerful to see people come together like that for someone.
And that's the positive part too. I mean, people
Yeah.
pulling for you. Everyone reacts differently in those situations too.
So in your coma,
Mm-hmm.
how long were you in the coma?
26 days.
Okay, and during that time, what was it like for you? Like, what do you remember?
I remember a lot pretty vividly, and then some of it's blurry.
Blurry.
Yeah.
But how you explain that to me?
There's
How?
there's a part of it that I remember, a recurring dream, and I have shared this with a number of people, not too many, but probably like in the 20 range.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the wild part. There's another part of it that's very dreamlike that I don't really quite know what to make of it. I don't understand it anymore. Like it was sort of like really, it wasn't.
But I think this part of the story is super.
Right.
Like
That
you
part I
have-
don't even think about. But the one part is vivid, and it's the part where I was surfing in Guam.
So the whole time he knows he was in Guam surfing.
Yeah. And I've never been to Guam.
But tell the story of how, first of all, when you coded, right?
Well, when
so,
I coded,
Yeah.
but I don't remember that.
But don't you remember like flying somewhere?
No,
like,
they flew me in a helicopter to Keck, which is one of
Right.
like 2 places in the world that can do what they did to me.
right.
And so that's crazy, but they flew me there. But in my dream, I went to Guam to surf in Guam, and I had some people that were there. My ex-wife was there, and there was I can name them all, but one of them was a guy she gave her kidney to. So we were all like close, like family. While we were together, she gave her kidney to a guy,
And he was in Guam with
and
you.
it was like his parents' house. So, but you know how dreams work? It was like that. Like you can't really tell, but I know it was his parents' house somehow. But it was this wild house, and it was beautiful. And like we took a small helicopter to get to the smaller island where it was.
So you think that small helicopter ride was like the real world leaking?
I feel like
in-
it leaked in.
linked into your coma.
I do. And my ex-wife came to see me and had a flower, like a Hawaiian flower, because she's Hawaiian. And we used to go to Hawaii all the time, and had it under my nose to kind of like maybe that'll bring him back. Maybe that'll, you know. And so I wonder how much that, because she was in there, and like I hadn't seen her for 6 years.
So you were in Guam with your ex-wife, who brought you a flower in real life,
Yeah, and the helicopter was
and
there.
the helicopter was
Yeah.
there.
And then so I'm there, and there's like a lot of little incidents. It was nothing but peace. Like I want to make that really clear because I get asked that a lot. Like was it scary? Was it? It's not. It was just so peaceful.
Yeah.
But there was, and it was color. It was like vivid.
So it wasn't like black and
Not at all. It was like really amazing.
But did it feel physical? Like, did you feel like you were physically there, or did it feel like a dream?
It felt like 100% I was physically there. But it doesn't feel like real, like this all, like you know, like,
Yeah.
but I felt like I was there. When I woke up, my brother had to explain to me that I thought our plane had crashed or something.
You thought you were really
100%.
there.
He said, it's June, man. Like, what? Because it happened on May 15th. When he finally was like, all right, I can't let him go anymore. Like, I got to explain what happened. And he's like, it's June. Like, you had a heart attack, you know?
So,
I had no idea.
but okay. So remember, you told me that when you coded, didn't you say they were leaving? Right? Someone was leaving Guam, and they wanted you to go.
No, you're close.
Okay,
What it
talk.
was this. So there's beautiful there. We are, you know, there's another couple there. I don't know who they were. They were beautiful people. Like it's really strange. And then there was one other random girl on the beach sometimes, and I don't know what that represents. But we would go, and then there was this one beach. They're like, we're all going. You got to come with us. We're going to this other beach. And I remember it was like I'm upstairs looking down onto this great room that was like, you know, insane. And there was actually a fire pit in the middle of it. That's strange, but so I was like, all right, I'm ready to go, but just hang on a second. And I would get stuck. And so the dream would happen, and whatever was happening, and then that moment would happen again and again, and I would get stuck. And
Like you couldn't leave.
yeah, I mean, you may have had that in a dream before,
Oh,
where
for sure.
you're stuck and you're like, I'm trying to go there, and I just couldn't. And then I would go into a black space, a complete
black.
dark, like with a little bit of light above it. So I kind of described it as like if you were in a closet hiding when
You
you're
can
little,
see a little
and there's
bit.
a little crack of light, or if you're in like, I felt like I was in like a filing cabinet, and it was just cracked open. It was really strange.
Was it scary? Were you scared?
It was not scary, but it was nothingness, like blackness, darkness. And then I would end up in the dream again. And then things would happen, and then I would get to that part again. And they would keep saying, come on, you're going to love it. Like, it's great. And then finally, the one time I was like, all right, let's go. And I could go. And I woke up. And that's when I woke up.
So do you think that you trying to go but can't go, it was like you're not ready to wake up?
I feel like, yeah. And I feel like that was the people that were around me 24/7 saying, we love you, you know, rub my head, come on, like, come back. And I feel like there was one foot in each side for a little bit.
So this was a whole month.
26 days, yeah.
Basically a month.
It doesn't, I couldn't tell any of that, you know.
Like time wasn't even obviously a thing to
No.
you. So during that 26 days, how many times did you code?
I coded 8 minutes the first time, like for real, and I mean, 3 times arrested the next day. But during that time, not at all. They put me on this machine. It's called ECMO. That is, and there was 2. There's one in each groin, and they like, basically the machine they put me on is really, the success rate's really, really, really low.
Low.
And it's kind of so people can say goodbye, or they can maybe keep you around to get a new heart. Because I was on the list for new heart, new lungs, new liver, new kidneys.
So everything failed.
Everything, total fail. Everything was, had machines everywhere around me. And I couldn't be moved more than a centimeter. And I was lowered body temperatures to keep my brain intact.
Yeah, so he had like a full, what was it?
It's some sort of suit.
Like this suit thing, intubated.
The opposite of incubated.
No, intubated.
Oh, intubated.
You were
Okay.
intubated, but you were like
I
covered,
thought you said incubated. I was when I was a kid.
trying to keep his body temperature at a certain level
Yeah.
to help his organs recover.
Yeah, and so that you don't get the damage. So
Okay.
like they drop your temperature so your brain, because that's what they were saying, everyone. Like they told my family the first night, he's not making it through the night. And then they told everyone, get whoever he needs to be here because he's not going to make it. And they said it like 3 nights in a row.
Yeah.
And then they finally got me on a helicopter.
So at any point after the fact, like talking to Buddha, which is his brother, did he ever say like, I was considering giving up?
No, because
Never.
of what Brad told him every time. No matter what,
Brad told him no.
They put him in the room and said, "Look, it's time to let him go. He's quality of life." Did he ever talk to you about quality of life? They actually approached it like that. Like, I know you're saying he said to stay alive, but did he ever actually have the conversation about his quality of life? Would he be? Would you think, knowing
Saying
him?
like if you woke up and you were a
Yeah,
vegetable.
they put
or
my
whatever.
brother like in that kind of position. Like, do you know him well enough to know, would he want to come back if it's not a good quality of life? And he might not recognize any of you. His brain's, it's been a long time and all that kind of stuff.
So, you woke up. Did you just blink? Like what?
No,
how did you wake up?
it's fuzzy. You're on a lot of medication.
Yeah. So,
so-
you're coming out of a lot.
Yeah, and
So
you're
did they?
Yeah.
They put you in a medically induced coma, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
did they
They
take
they
you off the
wake
medication?
you up from time to time.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know about that.
So what's the next thing you remember? Your brother telling you.
I remember a couple, my brother and a couple other people. It's kind of like their faces there.
And you couldn't talk because you had
Not at
been-
all,
So you were
no.
writing, right?
Yeah,
Or
and I couldn't
texting?
even write in the beginning.
Nothing.
No, I couldn't move my arm. You atrophy.
You
like-
lose all your muscle, right?
Yeah,
You
you
lose
lose-
everything from.
It's like 2 weeks, I think. If like an Olympic athlete in 2 weeks will have no muscle if you just lay there. It's really a lot quicker than people would think.
Yeah.
And
so
I
he
was
lost
30 days.
all
40
his
days.
muscle. You were super skinny.
Super skinny.
Super
I
skinny.
went in at 230
Like,
and
looked
woke
like a
up at
different person.
167.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So you wake up. Obviously, you can't talk. Can you walk?
No.
You can't. You can barely move your hands.
Yeah. I
So-
couldn't tell what was behind me for weeks, a couple weeks. I couldn't even, like a week, like I couldn't even, like, I couldn't do anything.
So what saved your life?
That's an awesome question. You mean, well, medically?
Medically.
Medically, the ECMO treatment and the Impella device that they put in
So
me.
it was your heart that essentially shut down everything else.
Yeah, the heart. It started with the heart not working properly. So then oxygen doesn't get to your other organs, and then
Right.
once the lungs were filling up, and then I got a clot. So your heart has the 4 compartments,
Mm-hmm.
and the 2 up top. If it's not pumping properly, it swirls instead of going out, and when it swirls, it kind of coagulates, and then it can form sediment,
And then clots.
and then and it'll whipped around and it clotted.
Okay. So they fixed your heart when you were in a coma?
Yeah, they fixed the clot. What's crazy is everyone wants to see my scars, and I don't have them. I have like 2 dots.
Yeah, they just did like
Yeah,
microscopically.
right here, and that's it.
Yeah, so they don't do like open heart surgery shit.
Some
anymore.
people get it depending on what they have. For me, since it's the clot, they did the other stuff. But to get my heart going again, it's crazy.
So what I think the craziest part is that they said you need all new everything, and now you're fine.
Yep, all original parts.
So he doesn't have issues with any single thing, do you?
I mean, that's another part. Like for this, I could do this for hours. There's
Yeah.
so many facets, but I do have some. But when you look at what happened, I say no. Like I feel like I'm
Like
perfect.
you didn't need a new kidney, you didn't
Nothing.
need a new heart,
I was on dialysis though. I was supposed to be for life.
and you're not on
It was
anything
4
anymore.
weeks.
So you basically dodged death.
Yeah, but for sure.
Okay, so
Yeah, and more than that. I
And-
dodged death and then also like a pretty rough life after.
right,
if
that's
I
what I'm
did
saying.
make it.
So now you went from partying all the time, right? Party. So now what is your life like? Like how has it significantly changed?
Well,
since
it's
that
amazing.
experience?
You got to remember, like, if I had a superpower, like somebody's like, okay, we'll give you a superpower, it would be to like give everybody that feeling that I have without having to go through what I went through, because it's amazing
the
how blessed.
feeling of
Just gratitude, grateful to be
But
alive.
I feel like you've always kind of been like
I
that.
have
You've
been like
always
that.
lived life to the fullest.
Yeah,
So
but
what's
you
changed?
don't. It's different. You just feel like you wake up and you look outside and you're like, man,
Grateful.
You really still think, hey,
So you probably don't like you
I
don't
might not
take
have had this.
people for granted or situations
Yeah.
or that kind of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff that goes along with it.
Rude-ass
You
truck.
definitely see moments like, your good friends' kids' birthdays, and you're like, man, I would have missed this, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of that goes on. But you really
Well,
just are grateful.
I think to like accept that like you died or
Mm-hmm.
you went through that, because I think that's everyone's number one fear is death.
Yeah.
Like no one wants to die. So to die and then come back and get to relive or live a second life, technically, that's something
what
that
you only live
most
twice.
people.
That's kind of
Who lives only lives twice?
only live twice. That's Yolt.
You only live once.
Well, I'm saying I'm living twice.
It's your
But,
version of
yeah,
it.
Yolt.
So, I think it's inspirational for people. Well, for you to tell your story because most people take things for granted.
Yeah.
So most people tend to focus on the bad of things, right? And not the good.
Yeah, or at least dwell on bad things.
Yeah. So now, do you take everything with a grain of salt?
Yeah. Well, it's like things that you like. To what you're saying, I think we kind of put a lot of like emphasis on things that are negative, thinking that they're the end of the world, or thinking that we
Right.
may never get through it, or
Right.
thinking it's more than it really is. I don't do that anymore.
Like to you, it's just
It's just in perspective now. It's a different perspective.
Yeah.
It's like there's
Well-
so many cliches. Don't sweat the small stuff or whatever. It's all real. Like it's just that you don't really get it until something happens.
I really feel like you can tell such a story, because people already know you as like the life of the party, like, you know, and you really aren't out in that scene anymore.
At
So your
all.
life has really changed a lot. You've had to adapt to like a new you where now you're more healthy, you don't drink, you don't party. You've probably lost a lot of friends. Or,
Yeah.
you know, you truly were like, you got to see who your real friends are,
Yeah.
right?
Well, you know what? I go and I've thought about that a lot. That's why I need to do a lot more of these. Like
Yeah.
there's so many.
By the way, Mike is going to start a podcast so that you guys
Yeah.
can hear his stories and things like that. So,
there's a lot of different aspects to it, but that's another one. That's a whole topic right there because you do lose a lot of friends. But I don't know if you put it that way because they're all still my friends. Like there are a lot of people that say, "Oh, were they really your friends?" Or, you know, where are they now? They're still doing what they do. But I can.
But you
I'm
can't do
different.
what-
I could
you're
call them
different.
though if I needed help. There
Yeah.
really were good friends. The way people stepped up for me when this happened is a story in itself. It's unbelievable.
yeah, and I guess you could say that too. Like, people change, right? Like, you used to party, now you don't anymore. Well, those people still party, but that doesn't mean that, you know, that was like your guys' common ground.
Yeah, I'm the one that changed. They're all still.
Right.
It's all still
So
going
it
on
is-
right now
It
without
is
me.
perspective. Like,
Yep.
they didn't change.
Mm-mm.
Your friendship would have still been the same, but you changed.
I could walk in tomorrow, you know,
Yeah.
and get hugs all around. I had a ton of support, like unbelievable amount of support. This city and Dana Point, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I still.
I think you touched a
look
lot of
at all
people
that.
locally.
Yeah.
And a lot of people came together, which is crazy. But so like now, what is your goal? Obviously, like,
If
What's
you
your
want a
goal?
calling,
What's your-
right? So I have a job. You know, I work at home, and I'm thankful to have my job. It's a good job, but that's not my calling. And
do you feel like because of this, it's changed?
yeah, I do. I feel like I have to get my story out. I feel like I've always had that kind of in me that I want to, you know, make the world a better place, inspire people, do whatever. But I was partying, and I didn't really get down to do it. And now there's really no excuses for it anymore. And
Yeah.
I'm so blessed that if I could just even help one person, you know, and I think that's what I have right now, like in me. It's kind of that's more my passion, really.
So if you could tell people, because of your story, what happened to you, everything that kind of led up to what happened to you, your lifestyle, everything, what is advice that you would give people, I guess, like as an outlook on life, right?
Well, yeah, it's once again, it's all cliche, but do what you want to do. Don't wait because it can get yanked, just like that.
Like life is just too short in the blink of an eye.
It is, but it's just like you don't know what can happen tomorrow. You don't know what can happen, so take advantage of what it is, and don't waste your talents. Don't waste time. Definitely don't hesitate to tell people that you love them if you love them. Don't be afraid of all that kind of stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of the same thing you hear, but I'm just like living proof of it. And also, don't give up.
Yeah.
Nobody gave up on me, or they were telling them to give up. Medically, like people that know what they're talking about in the healthcare, profession.
See,
they're
I'm
saying
so
it's
big on
over.
energy. Like, I truly feel that energy is powerful.
That's the reason I'm here. His energy.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, God bless the staff and the all
I mean,
the
you're
surgeons.
also here because of the medical shit, but
Yeah.
but I think the true healing that you felt with all those people constantly with you, that's energy.
Yeah, they actually did more of an actual part in it too. I mean, they were giving up on me in the mission. They couldn't save me there, and they admitted that. But they weren't going to move me, and the doctor said, I'm not going to give him a new heart. I'm not going to put him in that bed. Those beds are hard to get in Keck in USC. And because he's just going to go back and ruin it. What if someone else needs it? And the nurse that had brought me back, and I had other nurse friends there, they were like, they came in and they're like, you got to see the lobby. Like, you got to see what's going on. This guy, there's a lot of people here for him.
Like you weren't just some scumbag.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I mean, you had the entire town.
Yeah, and I think people really, you can make a difference with that kind of stuff. And then prayers.
For sure.
I mean, like I said, I could go on and on. There's so many wild things that happen to me throughout the course of this that are absolute miracles, that are 1 in a million shots, and there's like 20 of them. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know to do the math on that.
It just goes to show that, like, everybody has a purpose and things happen for a reason,
Yeah.
which I, like, fully believe. And you got to take the bad and the good and just do what you can with it.
Yeah.
But I think that your story is crazy just because not you don't know a lot of people that die and come back and then,
Yeah.
because you could have just as easily turned around and said, I'm going to go back to partying.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
Or,
what
like,
I hear
I'm
the
gonna
most.
go back and do it again, but you actually made a change, a positive change, and I think that you had such a big influence on people around you too.
Mm-hmm.
So they saw like, oh shit, Mike G actually changed. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's the most common thing I hear is
Mm-hmm.
people can't believe that. I mean, they're all proud of it,
Yeah, it's definitely crazy.
Well, I think like, I just didn't want to let everyone down either. I know that's funny to say, but when you have that many people pull for you and that many people like it was a really, really heartwarming, humbling experience with what everyone did.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
gonna throw that away and just be like, well,
Fuck you
thanks, I'm
guys,
back.
I'm gonna
Thanks.
go back to the bar.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, I think
Not
it's
gonna
dope.
happen.
I think your story's crazy.
Yeah.
Mike is going to start a podcast, like I said earlier, so if you guys want to hear more about his story, you guys will have to check it out. We'll link it down below.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome too if you, because one thing I find all the time is whenever I do share my story, I don't know how many people are going to watch this right now, but I'm willing to bet a good percentage of you have your own story.
Yeah, I think everybody has a story. Or you might know someone who, has gone through something crazy. Mike wants to hear those
Yeah,
stories.
I'm interested.
Connect with you guys on that. I just thought it would be cool to share something different, a little bit more deep, and just kind of inspire you guys to keep going, keep fighting, don't give up on life. Everybody has a purpose, and life can be gone in the blink of an eye. And I think we get a lot of second chances in life, and maybe it doesn't have to be like from death, but I think that we do get a lot of second chances, and everybody should take advantage of those.
Yep.
Well, thank you for coming on my podcast.
Thanks for having me.
We will see you guys next week. We're going to be uploading once a week, I think, maybe twice a week, but I love you guys, and we'll be back soon.
I want to touch on like a couple things, but there really is like so much to analyze and so much that happened. Like, we didn't even talk about the machine that was in me. The doctor that was like this guy was like Doogie Howser. This guy was amazing, and he pulled my brother and this guy Jeff Gurley, was a medic in the military. He was kind of there with my family. Another like a great thing that he just was there to translate all
Right.
the medical stuff. And
It's like people were in the right place at the right time for you.
over and over.
Right.
Like, I can't. It's so many times. There are a lot of little mini miracles.